I do have. So it should be recording now. Okay, guys, once more, it's a pleasure to be here. It's my first Circles of Success session being a presenter. And when Andrew talked to me about, hey, why don't you present something? I'm always like thinking about things that would be interesting to you and also to me, things that I currently am not very comfortable with, or things that for some external reason or whatever reason I had to study and I had to understand a little bit more. And I think that in the past few months, I have been exposed to this accessibility thing. Either by like a customer that needs to be 100% compliance with some new pattern or with some new law or whatever it is, or even some POC that I need to build. Accessibility is becoming more and more on top of the needs for a developer, and it just like punched me in the face that I thought, okay, I should really, really care about it more, and I should have thought and I should have studied it before, and not only now. And that's why I decided to pick up this theme so we can discuss, so we can have a conversation about like little things that we can do and that makes a difference. And on top of that, things that are already in Liferay DXP in the product that we can leverage to create more accessible solutions. So here's the agenda for today. I'm gonna start talking a little bit why is it so important, because we might have some ideas, but perhaps we don't understand the full picture of why this really matters. Then I'm gonna talk about WCAG, which the standard when we are talking about accessibility globally. Then we understand what Liferay brings to you out of the box in terms of accessibility. Then we'll go through developers must and must not do when they're coding, when they're creating their solutions. Then testing accessibility, and then we'll talk about the future of accessibility in Liferay. What were we planning to make it available for you guys? What is in our roadmap? And that's the idea for these sections. And then, of course, we can have some conversations about it. So the first thing is why accessibility is important. Uh, Perhaps you know someone that has some disability. Perhaps it's a relative, close person to you, or perhaps you know someone that knows someone else that has some disability. And according to the World Health Organization, more than 1.2 billion people lives with some disability. So, of course, now that we are definitely in a digital world, we cannot like argue more about that. We cannot exclude these people from this digital experience. And also, web accessibility is a human right, and we need to ensure equal access to everyone. So this is probably the most like logical reason when we like ask this question, why accessibility matters. So this probably might be on your head. It wasn't mine, not the number of people with disability, but why like this digital presence is important, this equity and this human right thing. But there are also other factors that we need to consider and that we need to think about. The second one is standards and expectations. What is good for me might not be good to Brian, might not be good to Andrew, to Marco that is here. Thanks, guys, for being here. And what I think that is beautiful might not be the same thing that my colleague think that's beautiful. So we have some difference about opinions, but in terms of what is visual clean and what is visual readable for either humans or machines, there is a kind of consensus about it. And then when we are thinking about an accessible application, an accessible website, we're not only thinking about human rights, but we are thinking about an equalization. If I'm a developer on company A, and then if I go to company B or later on company C, I need to make sure that what I do is clean, that what I do is understandable, and it makes the site performs even better for the reasons that we're gonna cover later here. So being in a standard is a good thing, and it's global, you know. The third one, legal requirements. Perhaps you have already been exposed to a customer that's under an auditory or under some analysis by a legal organism or something, and they're okay, I need to be 100% compliance, or I need to meet some level of compliance with some accessibility law. So just so you to know, I can mention a few. One, that's the Americans with Disabilities Act that is in US, and also the European Accessibility Act, that is the European law for it, that is enforcing strict digital accessibility across the Europe. And they just apply fine if they find that some websites or some application is not complies with some rules that we're going to discuss. For example, EAA, the European law, can reach up to.
Mateus, sorry, can I
Okay,
interrupt for a second?
yeah,
Your presentation looks a little bit funny. Are you in presenter mode?
yeah, I'm in presenter mode.
Can you try maybe closing it? Oh, now I see more of it.
Okay.
Maybe you were zoomed in. We only saw the title across the top.
Sorry about it.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay,
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
okay, that's okay. You can see it now better because I'm like with two
Yeah.
screens here, so perhaps.
Now I can see what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, so.
Okay.
Then I'm already in the third one, so I don't think I need to get back because I just mentioned like human rights and then standards and expectations about like why it's important to be accessible, like not only because it's a human right, but because you're following some patterns that are globally recognized. And then the third one, it's about legal requirements and risk mitigation, because these entities that just analyze websites about accessibility standards, they can they can really apply fines that goes to like 250 K dollars, which is a lot, or euros. So your customer definitely don't want to be fined by not complying to accessibility. And it also is important for the customers and for the image into the digital world and for the image to the end customers to say that they are committed to accessibility and to bring these disability persons in terms of accessing what is in their digital spaces. And the third one, business value and strategic advantage. Not only because of what I just said here, but because when a site is just organized in terms of accessibility, it can be better readable and accessible to AI, to bots, to crawling, and it makes your content be find easier in those mechanisms. So being accessible is also be competitive and be strategic in advantage to other competitors to you that they are not compliant to accessibility. So those are the reasons why it is becoming more and more important. There should be probably be more reasons, but these are the ones that I wanna to call out today. And speaking about standard, perhaps you have already read or about seen or about being asked about this, the WCAG, which is the global standard when you're talking about accessibility. And it is basically about four principles: perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. And when we're talking about perceivable, we want that people and machines, they can perceive what is in there. If there is a button, if there is someone that cannot see a button, when they're navigating, they can understand that this is a button. I can perceive this button. It's not hidden or it's not put in the page in a way that I cannot identify it. Operable, people that, for example, don't use the mouse, don't use the rat, they can go through the key tabs and they can navigate in the site. And they can use their own mechanisms and even technology assistive technologies to navigate in your site. Understandable, people need to be able to understand and function in the site, to do what it is asked to do in people with disabilities. So if you have a form that has a field, so what am I supposed to fill in this field? You need to provide this understanding for people that are navigating through your site. And also robust, again, because it needs to be accessible by both humans and machines and the technologies that will go to navigate into it. So those are the principles that this consortium is about. And for each principle, we are gonna have acceptance criteria for a list of things. And these criteria are very specific and they can be measured by levels. So we have the level A, which is the very, very basic one. So if you have an acceptance criteria under the perceivable principle, it can reach the level A, which is the most basic one. If you fail to meet the level A, that means that people with disability, they cannot understand and cannot navigate and cannot use your site. The double A level, which is the most common asked in terms of law, in terms of requirements, which is that you meet criteria and you have enough criteria so people can navigate through it, not only the very, very basic functionalities. And then the triple A, which is the highest criteria, the highest level that acceptance criteria can accept. And it means that we're like fully compliance with accessibility. So now that we know why accessibility is important, now that we know that we have a standard to follow that is globally recognized, what Liferay brings you out of the box in terms of accessibility? First thing, we do provide reports and we do provide it per functionalities because we want you to understand what is in place here. So we have the VPAT, the voluntary product acceptance report, and it is basically a form, and we define in this form what are the criteria that we're going to measure in terms of accessibility within the product. And then the accessibility compliance report is just like the full document. When we fill up the form, we came up with the ACR report that we can see specifically based on commerce, object, search, CMS, and DXP's functionalities. For each of these categories of functionalities, what are the criteria, the acceptance criteria that are met, and the level that they can reach in those specific criteria. So we provided to you, we have updated this. So the latest one is 2024 Q3, and then we are working to provide to you the latest for the 2025 Q1 version. And the team is doing a very good job in creating those reports and creating those documents and make it available for you. Here, there is the URL in which you can access it. It's public, so it's public facing. So you can see exactly how the product is in terms of accessibility. So voluntary product accessibility template fill up, which generates to you the accessibility compliance report. That's what we already have in terms of accessibility. In terms of functionality in accessibility, Liferay provides to you the accessibility menu. You can enable it in instance settings. You can go there and then you can access it. And then you are gonna see a few options here. Underlined links. You will forcibly underline all the links. Increase text spacing, expanded text, reduce motion. And I can even show that to you. Do you continue to see my screen? I hope. So this is a website made on top of Liferay in which I have the open accessibility menu. So here, for example, this is a link, this liferayinclusive.com. It is a link. So if I open my accessibility menu, and then I put underlined links, then they will just be underlined for me if I need. And this is something that the users, the disability users, they need, and some technology assistive need. So I can increase text spacing. So I don't know if you were able to see it, but then the space between the letters for my text, they have been increased. Expanded text, reduced motion, for instance, here. I have some motion here, already applying, it's kind of blinking, but it might not be good for some users, so I can just like reduce motion and you do stop all motions and animations on the website. So this menu is available out of the box, so you can go to instance settings in the control panel, accessibility, and you can enable it. So this is already available for you. Okay, Liferay is committed also with accessibility to make sure that the functionalities that it provides are well enough accepted in those acceptance criteria that I've mentioned to you about WCAG. And That's a vanilla installation. And we know that none of our customers will use Liferay Vanilla, right? Because we create client extensions. In the past, we use it to create themes. We use it to create OSGI-based plugins when we need, and we use it to put a lot of things on top of this Liferay Vanilla. So we need to make sure that our development, that our customizations are also meeting some of these criteria. And let's now understand a little bit a few tips or basic hints of what a developer must do when they are creating. It's not an extensive list. There are a bunch of things that we need to take care. But I try to put here at least the ones that I put my mind on in the past few months, as I said in the beginning of this presentation, and the things that now I'm trying to take a better care when I'm doing the site. So the first thing is when we're creating styling, when we're dealing about themes, appearance of Liferay, we need to take care of using relative units, so REM or EM, instead of using hard-coded units. For example, if I'm creating an image, if I'm adding an image there, or if I'm creating a container, a text container, it's not a good thing if I say that this container need to measure like 16 pixels of whatever. So we need to try to use as much as we can the relative units to make sure that this will be adaptable when users has their own preferences on the navigator, on the screen, when they use bigger screens. So it is also about making the site more user friendly for everybody. Again, avoid pixel fixed layouts for text, and not only text, but containers as well. So let's try to use relative, let's try to use percentage to make sure that it can be adaptable and it's flexible enough to deal with this difference. Ensure good contrast ratios. The WCIG says that there is a minimum contrast ratio that you have to think that is 4.5 per 1. So when you're putting a text on top of some banner or some color, the color of this text and the color of this banner, the color of the information, the reading information that you put there, it must follow some patterns as well. So perhaps it might touch more if you work with a design team with them, because they sometimes create a Figma for you and you just implement what is in there. But sometimes it's also your responsibility to see what is happening and to perhaps give this tip to the design. Hey, it's beautiful what you've done, but perhaps it's not compliance with some rules here. So let's think about the color, how we can change it. So it is important for us to have these in mind. And also observe accessibility, user preference, media features. We now have in the modern development the options to understand, and this is a variable actually that we can use on our CSS. If you use at media, we can understand if the user wants this reduced motion option out of the box, and we can even think about strategies. So if this is not enabled, I can do this, but if this variable is enabled, I can do a thing differently when I'm coding, when I'm doing my JavaScript, and when I'm doing my CSS, thinking about different colors if I need. So this is available to you so we can perceive some preference, some user preference, and already deal with it. So it is something that is important for you to have in mind. And specifically talking about images, providing meaningful alternatives. So the alt attribute is an attribute that you can put in the image, in the HTML. And it's not only there because it's not meaningful, but it will literally helps the text reader, the screen reader, or the other assistive technology to understand what is this image for. And again, alt is different than description. We need to tell what is this image, if this really has meaning to the website, to the page, so the users can understand it, the users that cannot see, they properly see it. And of course, when an image doesn't mean something like a banner or some role that you put as an image, you can just use it, consider that it will be a decorative image, and you can put the attribute out, but you can leave it blank. But it's a good practice if you always put it there. And sometimes we even have the auto out tools. It's uh, AI that is on our life in a lot of aspects. So definitely we can use AI, and there are AIs that already generate some options and some possibilities for you in terms of this parameter, but you should always check results because sometimes those AI tools they put things that they're not really meaningful and they don't mean what this image means for the website. So if you can double check whenever you use auto out tools, it is important. I said a few things about what you as a developer should and could do. But what are the things that you must not do when you're coding? The first thing is structure and navigational errors, skipping heading levels. If you're putting an H1 HTML tag and then you go directly to H3, skipping H2, this is something that confuses the text readers, and you will also, if you have a page like this and if you go through in auditory, and if you go through one of these tools that I will show you in a minute about how to measure and how to understand accessibility, it will mark you, hey, you don't meet these acceptance criteria. So we should put this order, you should mean this hierarchy of tags whenever we need to use them. Keyboard traps. We need to ensure that our site and our application is navigable by using the tab, by enabling, disabling, by use the space, the return button in the keyboard. And it is not only about getting there, but getting out of the part of the site that you are reaching through keyboard. Sometimes, for example, when you open a modal, you can open using your keyboard, but then once you get there, there is no like close modal button that I can reach, or it just gets stuck there and I kind of move away from it, from this element. So it's considered a keyboard traps, and users must be able to fully navigate the site. And also using divs for everything. You know that the div tag in HTML, it is very important. It's very versatile. It lets you do a lot of things. But when we're in HTML5, there are a lot of elements that we can leverage, like nav, which is a navigation. So if there is a nav element there, the screen reader will know that's the navigation element, the main, the aside, the anchor, and so on. And then you can use these elements whenever they need to be used, and just save the divs for the things that they're just not there, like a custom element that you need to add or something neat. So let's not abuse the divs because it makes it difficult for the screen readers to understand what is really there. And I want to make a really quickly pause now to talk about area, the accessible rich internet applications. I think it is a very smart things. So whenever we need to use HTML elements like divs, that they are very versatile and they can basically be everything. So we need to tell whenever is going in our website in terms of accessibility, these assistive technologies, that, hey, this is what I mean. This is what this flexible element is. So we use it not only for this, but for another bunch of things. We use area to make sure that what we are doing is understandable. But there is a golden rule, which is use native HTML elements whenever is possible. Some good examples. Custom UI widget. So you have developed a custom toggle switch and then you just put it there. Of course, you're gonna open a div and then you need to tell the role of this element, which is switch, and then you just put area checked true, and that's how your screen reader will understand what is this div for. uh, le- uh, Live regions. Sometimes you have parts of our website that are dynamically updated, like they are receiving news, they are receiving something. So whenever we add this area live polite parameter, we are telling the screen readers, hey, this will be automatically changed. So it will just try to update it and capture this movement of updating the website, so it can tell the user, hey, there is a change in here, so we need to read the new content here, so we can be properly fed by what is in there if you cannot see it right. Relationships, describing whenever element is connected to others. So you have, for instance, labeled by, described by. So this is something, another example that we can use here. The collapsibles, for example, when you're using, you're developing some fragment in Liferay for an accordion. So we will probably put this area labeled expanded or not expanded to make sure that you capture this moment and the screen readers know that is an element that can be expanded and then collapsible again. So this is some examples when you use area. So when you should not use this area parameter. For instance, when I'm trying to create a div for a button, and then I will should put an area there, a role for button. But there's already a button, an HTML element, which is a button. So why are you reinventing the wheel? Are you trying to use another thing to make it a button if you already have a button? So for instance, doing this div role button submit, it is a bad practice. So you cannot navigate through it directly without doing some JavaScript, and there are some other issues. So use a button, use the HTML element whenever you need to. I cannot like put it and off, but it is a thing. I think it's one of the top three most common errors. Making a div a checkbox is another example that I saw in the past days. Like, okay, I'm putting a div as checkbox, but we already have an input thing that is a type checkbox that I can use. So I don't need to keep abusing divs and areas, otherwise my site won't be accessible. And also redundant things. Those HTML elements, button, inputs, anchor, they already have it like on their background, on the when they're built, they already have this role. So you don't need to put it again. Redundant components might confuse the screen readers and the assistive technologies that are reading your website. So this is something so we need to be careful of and you need to pay attention to. Another thing, getting back to the common errors that I would like to call out here is about interactive in content. So you are developing a model and you don't take care of the focus management. When the model opens, and if I'm dealing with the keyboard or the focus, the technology that will take care of the focus for the user, whenever the modal opens, the focus should be directly inside that modal to generally the first element or the close button for the modal. But you need to take care. Developing a modal, you need to take care of the focus management as well. And also missing labels and unclear button. Sometimes we need to, because of the design, we need to use some button like an error. And if I can see what is in there, I will know that there will be a text near it that says something, and then there will be just an error, so I can click and go to someplace else. And this error, only this error would be my button. But if I cannot see it, I need to be able to provide some label and some instruct to read it a technology. So doing things like submit the form instead of just like okay for a label, it's better. Add this product to the cart. So do so put there what would be the action represented by clicking on this button. This is another thing that needs to be on our mind because sometimes it might not be that clear or the people just could not see it. So we need to make sure that we're covering these gaps as well. I said a bunch of things about accessibility, about what we should not, what we must not do, what about Liferay has, but how can I test it? Because sometimes I don't have time to build things and to also test it. I have a QA team and I don't, I cannot like test everything that I do. So is there a manner for me to quickly test it to see at least what I'm doing? So test accessibility. The first thing that I need to tell you is you cannot rely only on automatic tools. If you're really meaning to test it to make sure that we're covering everything, that should be a combination between manual tests and automatic tests. And this is a common sense between developers, between designers, between accessibility people, in between people that study and develops and they're expert in developing in terms of accessibility. So a combination of tests is needed whenever we're trying to make sure that we're covering the gaps that we need to. To do some automatic tests, there are a bunch of technology. I generally personally use XAXE, which is a plugin that I can add there. It's a dev tool, and also Wave, that is an online tool that I can just put my site there, and they will say to me the things that I need to improve. Is that one that is better than another one? Perhaps depending on how we're gonna use. If you're doing something, some application, some code that will go through a CI/CD pipeline, for example, X is better for it. Wave, that would be fast, that would be quicker, and they will show you right on the screen what is happening with your website. But on the other hand, sometimes it gets a lot of false positives. So you should take care of what Wave says to you that we're not meeting. And sometimes this situation happens. Some customer comes to us and said, "Hey, I'm putting my website here on Wave, and this is telling me that I'm not compliant with these criteria." But sometimes it's just the way that Wave is built that it doesn't give to you the right vision, or it doesn't fully analyze what is happening in the context, in the big picture. So you have to take care. So this is the a Wave thing that I've just added. This website here. I don't know how many of you have been through the any boot camp of Lifer, or any in training experience, or doing the online courses that are now available in Learn. But we generally use this website, this Clarity Vision Solutions website, and I've added a few traps here on purpose so we can see this happening in Wave. For example, I have a hidden button here, I have a hidden search icon here, and of course, hidden things, you know that they are not good because they might be a trap for the users. They will not know what is happening when they're navigating. And then if I go here to Wave, if I submit this website here, it should tell me there's something not well going on here. So it starts off like, okay, presenting to me the things that are not here. So very low contrast. So it's not meeting the criteria that it should be. Very low contrast. So there's a lot of area elements here, menu item, role presentation, but should it really be what it needs to be? So this is kind of, you can navigate in the site here, and then you can see and you can understand what is happening here. So it say there's an edge one here, and it's not, there is no edge two. I'm already going through edge three. So, and you also can see a summary here of the features of the area, of the alerts, of the structure elements. You can view the details, skip link, H1 level and not H2 level. So it will basically give you a quick summary of everything that is happening. So this is a good thing for you to quickly see what you are doing in terms of accessibility. And also some manual tests, the things that you can do. NVDA, which is a Windows screen test, voice over for app for Mac elements for Mac dispositives, and TalkBack, which is a Google open source screen reader that you can test to see how it will behave navigating through your website. Keyboard only tests, I can just go to my website and use the tab and use the enter and using the blank space to see if what I'm doing is generating for the users the possibility to navigate in the site. Zoom to 200 layout check, and even to higher or to bigger whenever you need to make sure that your elements are being adjusted, are flexible enough to be adjusted to user preferences. And we also have this website that I would like to present to you if you don't know it yet, which is liferayInclusive.com. It is an initiative of our accessibility team. And with this website, you can see a lot of tips about how to go and how to be inclusive. So this is the website that I was using later to tell you and to demo to you the accessibility menu. And here you are going to see the European Accessibility Act already applying. So you're going to see a link for it. You can see how Liferay gives to you the voluntary product accessibility template and some tips about like not only automated tests that I said you about people that has like some vision disability, so the keyboard, so the screen reader, so you can just go through it. And to me, one of the best things in it is the manual checklist. So you can use it to understand, and whenever you are building, whenever you are coding, you can just check, use it to check if you are compiling with these criteria, like audio only and video only. I don't have things, I only have things that are pre-recorded so it can be understandable. So about captions. So you can just create this checklist to check what your website does and does not. And then you're gonna see later on it a lot of principles, like the principles robust, the principle understandable, the four principles, the four principles, and then you can evaluate and you're gonna have your score about it, and you can use it as a start point for your manual tests or whenever you need to understand your site. So it is free. It is available to you guys. It's public, liferayclusive.com slash checklists. So you can just go through it and you will be able to see. This is the checklist that I've just mentioned. And about the feature, what Liferay provides in terms of roadmap for accessibility. A disclaimer here, this is only a roadmap, so we can change plans, but these are the ideas that we have in mind. So we will increase the accessibility menu. So right now we only have until this increased text spacing, but then we're gonna add this focus double border style, ellipsis text, and auto-played animation. So the users can select if they need this, if they need ellipsis text to change the structure for the text, and the focus for double border. So this is a thing that we're aiming to implement soon. The optional focus magnification effect. This is also something that will be possible for the users, as we are seeing in my presentation. So people that need to understand the barriers for a button, they can see it better, what is happening there. The dark mode, sometimes when you are talking about dark mode, we just develop this. It's the same thing that we have here, this contrast menu, so we can switch between dark and light. And then we are planning to add it out of the box in Liferay in this button here, this small moon here on the top of Liferay, so people can choose what are the contrast mode. So this is our roadmap as well. We pretend to create this accessibility annotation that is a library to ensure you and to give you examples and to give you samples of components. And we're thinking about 9 key components to demonstrate use cases and best practice when we are implementing accessibility in Liferay. So this is going to be full open for you guys when we finish it. And that's it. Those are the things that I would like to present to you, the things that I'm like now trying to do better as a developer, and the things that are in my mind and that I'm considering and that I see partners and customers and developers in general doing or not doing when they're like thinking of developing in terms of accessibility. So now I can open to you if you have any questions or if you want to share some experience that you might have about accessibility. And I saw a question here from Bryce. How does Library help to enforce these accessibility standards and best practice? I have seen page speed insights for alt text. This is definitely something that we have out of the box in color contrast. But what about other accessibility checks to stay in compliance? So, Bryce, uh, what we can do now is that we cannot enforce things, but you can make it available because there are some things that are from user preferences. So right now, what we are doing is these initiatives that I've mentioned to you, like this website, these tips, this kind of webinars, and there's also a library of good practice examples, so we can make people aware that they need to be compliant on it. And if you find something in the vanilla product, in the menu, on in the out-of-the-box Redux that is not compliance, we encouraging you and we ask you to create tickets to report in the community, to report as a feature request, and to report if you're a customer through a ticket, because we do have a team that has experience, that has expertise, and that has also a lot of setups to make the right tests, and we would like to improve it. We would like to fix it and to treat it as a fix that because we want to be more accessible. We want to have it on top of our priorities. So that's basically how you handle this. And I don't know if there's anybody that has some other questions or experience.
I don't know if anyone in the meeting can actually use the
Okay.
microphone, Mateus.
Okay.
They'd have to actually write a question.
Okay. Bring it up.
Uh, yeah. But I don't see any more questions coming up right now. I mean, thank you. This was really insightful. There were a few things I did not know that I've learned from this session. So I appreciate you taking the time to share that with all of us. I guess if there's no other questions, then we'll just wrap this one up a little bit early and everyone can have 15 minutes back.
Perfect. Okay,
Awesome.
so
Thanks so
you
much.
can reach me out whenever you need. I'm on the Slack community. I'm sure that you guys have for the internal colleagues, you have my email contact. It's mateus.monteiro@liferay.com. So I'm open and I'm available, and I would love to meet you and to talk to you about it more and to go deeper on some other aspects if you need to. So thanks you all for being here with me today.
Thank you, Mateus.
Of course. Bye.